friend, it's Pat Sloan here. So today is the Quilted Witch Day, and we are moving along. We are going to keep moving. Last week we did, there you can see behind me, right? We did that whole section. And because we have all these blocks made already, I want us to go ahead and do this little section here, because there really isn't much you have to cut. You just have to cut some background and put it together. And if you're not doing the witch like me, if you're doing the witch, you can just follow what's in the book. But remember, you want to get my sheet that you download, and we will be looking at this section here. And so we're going to do that on the other side of the table in a few minutes. I did have a couple of things that came in the mail that I wanted to show you. This sweet card came from our friend Dolores in Michigan. Yes. the sewing card. And she sent me some goodies, Greg and I, some goodies. So thank you. My coffee today is on you. I appreciate that. And we got from Susanna in New Hampshire. Look at this card with the Baltimore album on it. I'm going to show you the back. They call it the wedding quilt, and the little write up there says that the reason why they sort of named it that is because it has the willow trees, and that usually signify they were putting a lot of those in the Baltimore albums that were wedding quilts. And these are fancy applique quilts back in the 1800s. This was made in approximately 1850. This particular quilt is in the Museum of Early Southern Decorative Arts in Old Salem, Winston, North Carolina. I need to see that. I need to see it in person. I have always loved this heart shape like this. So gorgeous. And Susanna found me some mushroom fabrics. Look at those. So darling. So darling. I love them. I'm also going to fit in some Q&A today. But what I want to do is the Q's to the A's to your Q's, right? The answers to your questions, the A's to your Q's. Did you get that? Probably wasn't funny, was it? Oh well. You know, when you have to write a title of your video every single day, you start to get silly sometimes. Okay, I digress as usual. So we're going to go to the other side and do the witch first, the witch's garden. So these sections are really very easy to put together. You just have to sort of break it down, and let me just show you that process of breaking it down. So hopefully that'll make it feel easier to you. Oh, lighting is crazy. The sun is out and there's snow on the ground, so there's like bright light shining in. I should probably close the curtains, but I'm not going to. So there we go. So on this page is where the directions are for the entire length. If you're doing the witch, following the pattern exactly and doing the witch. Where is her picture? Okay, come on, here she is. So if you're doing this whole thing, you would be taking from this star over. And we are going to eliminate that because they will actually be used down here in another section. So we won't be doing this. This strip here, I have a skinnier strip, and then I have a strip underneath, which are both on my direction. So we'll have a little skinny strip on this side and a strip underneath. But other than that, you just have, let me just do this. So just mark this off so that you know, like, you're not doing that. You put like a sticky on there. There, cover it up good. Take some stickies and cover it up. That way you don't get your brain looking at this. That's always a problem. You know, if it's there and you're not going to be referencing it, it could be that you shift yourself over and you're cutting stuff for here when you shouldn't be. So just cover it up. And then basically we are going to be sewing a section, and then this is one big block, and then two vertical spacers. And you do have to go back and forth a bit to the page where the cutting directions are. And some people will probably print this page off here so that they can just have it on the side. That's an option for you to do. So I started, let's just pull back here. So I've got mine laid out. So I have it started here, and I'm basically looking at what's already on the wall, and this section over here has one of these in orange, and so I went to brown, and then I decided to alternate it back to orange just so that they're spread around a bit. There's a block just to this side which has a little bit more orange. It has orange in this section. It's the shoe fly, but still this triangle is orange, so I thought I'll go with brown. And then I flipped over to orange, brown to orange. You're just kind of balancing the color so I just don't end up with like all sort of brown points in one section, just going back and forth, because pretty much my blocks are either orange points or kind of brown points, and then the teal and turquoises are just accents for it. So okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting. I have to cut a few things here, cut the spacers, and then I'll sew it. But I do want to show you something on the spacers. What I've been doing is when I've been very frugal. I'm only cutting strips, like one strip at a time, and then sub-cutting from it. And so what I could do for what I have here so far is I went from this pile first, from everything I've already done first, and cut what I needed. And so far, I know I'm going to have to cut the verticals because they're longer than what these pieces are. But I've been able to get, I got these two pieces here, and I can get, I think, a few more of these chunks, but probably not maybe not these long ones. So I will be doing that. And so it's just so great to be able to go like this and just already have it cut out of these extras. So we're not, they're just things we haven't used yet. So keep them organized and don't cut too much ahead on this one. You really, really will waste fabric if you do that. So I will sew this section up, and then we'll go put it on the wall and see how it looks. The first thing I'm doing is, these are some 1.5 inch strips, and this is just short a little bit, and I'm like, this fabric is going to blend and you're not really even going to see the seam, and even if I see it a little bit, I don't care. And so I am going to sew it together. See, this is a great one to sew these little pieces together. If you've got a background fabric that has a little bit of texture like this in the design, the seams are kind of invisible, and this is like a 1 inch finished strip. Yeah, no brainer. There's no question. Sew these together, and I'm thinking about that for some of the other ones. Sew them together and use them rather than cutting and having all these extra pieces. Okay, that's my plan. So as I'm working, I did this little twinkle star, and then sewed the bottom to it, just keeping it on here so that I don't like flip them and do them the wrong way. I've got the other twinkle star here, and I've got the heater on down there. I've got it out there so it wasn't showing up on the video before so much. So now what I'll do is I just work down this section, put this churn dash, and then the bottom section, and just keep it in order, and checking the diagram on the pattern, so that I don't flip things and get them out of place. And remember to sew on the side where you can see the point. Don't come to the machine like this where you're sewing blind. Just flip it and sew where you can see that point on the little star. This one right here. So here you can see the sections. Here is the piece that I sewed two together, so that's on that side. Being frugal, here is the churn dash, the middle star section, another spacer, and then the big block on the far side. And so that's it. And I will sew all that together. And just like that, it's finished, right? Here we go. Here's the section for this week. It feels so good to put these sections together. It really, really does. Okay, it has to go up on the wall, and I will just stick it up here quick, and then I'll get the other camera so that you can see it. If you don't have a design wall yet, do everything in your power to create one. Find a way. Look at your space and how it's being used, because I don't know how anybody can function without one. You need to see your work so that you can figure out what you're doing. There we go. Okay, let me get the other camera. There it is together. So this is, except for the original is wider still because because there's another section almost this wide in here, and that would be where the witch goes if you're doing the witch version. But instead our section here is going to have leaves and pumpkins and more blocks in here. So that'll be the size of it. So it's a good size. It's a good size. You could hang it or use it. Should I sit like this so that you can see the kitty there? There's like, see the kitty? So you got to see the kitty. That's the best part of the whole quilt's kitty. All right, there's a few things today. Celebrations. There's a lot of celebrations for today. It's coffee day. I actually think there's probably about 6 different coffee days, which is totally fine with me. I love to celebrate a good cup of coffee. It's Winnie the Pooh Day. So if you have Winnie the Pooh quilts with, you know, like a panel or applique or the fabrics, love to see the Winnie the Pooh quilts. And it is Argyle Day. So if you have some sort of a plaid quilt, that would just be super, super cute to see. Show them. Let's get a little show and tell over there on the I Love to Make, I'm sorry, on the Quilt Along with Pat Sloan at Facebook page. So I have a couple of Q&As, and then I'll just, and then there's like a bunch of them that have sort of all evolve around the same thing. But let me just do these others that are a little bit more focused. So Sandy wrote, and these were all from YouTube here, for the YouTube comments. So Sandy wrote that she doesn't know how we keep all the dust down in our sewing space, because she feels like all she's doing is dusting and wiping and vacuuming and sweeping all the time, and that it's a losing battle. And I thought this was a very fascinating question, because for me, that never crosses my mind. I actually never ever think about it. I do it, but I don't think about it. It isn't something that is front and center to me to keep things dust and tight, dust free. I probably maybe have a higher tolerance for dust. Sandy, maybe you actually have a really low tolerance for that, and so therefore it's troublesome to you, because fabric makes dust. The tools, the product that we're working with creates some dust, and so it is going to be doing that. It's got threads, it's got loose this, that. That's just going to happen like all the time. So maybe you want to just take a step back and look at how you are approaching that part of the hobby, and see if maybe you can lessen your need to keep it so wiped down. If not, people leave comments here at YouTube and tell us what you do. I mean, do you have a magic wand? Do you have cleaning people come two or three times a week and clean your studio? Whatever, tell us. We want to know. So Kara wanted to know, what do you do if you are asked to make a quilt for somebody else that is not in the colors that you prefer? Now, she prefers really brights, and somebody wants a neutral quilt. And so I think that's a common problem for everybody, and I'd love to hear your comments on that. Leave comments. I'm going to tell you how I approach it. I rarely make a quilt for someone where it's specific to their colors. I just don't do it. My sister-in-law, who I've mentioned this before, she's no longer my sister-in-law, they're divorced, but anyways, when she was my sister-in-law, she wanted a California King double wedding ring in neutrals. And I just said no. I said, I don't enjoy making that kind of a quilt, and it would be a struggle. So I won't make you that one. I'll make you another kind, but I won't make that. And so no is a complete sentence. You can be more polite about it than just saying no. But you don't have to take on a job that doesn't inspire you. You don't have to. If it's a gift, find another way around, or find something else you can make that will be inspiring to you. That's how I approach it. We'll see what other people say. Melody asks if I ever use the clothesline in my backyard that you see all the time, where I hang the quilts on it, if we have ever used it for clothing. Well, it's one small clothesline. That's it. It's just one one across. It's only as wide, as a little bit wider than a bed-size quilt. So there isn't much you can hang on there. So I rarely use it for clothing. I could hang clothes out there to dry. It's just not in my radar to do that. So I rarely do that. Donna wanted to know if I find it easier to cross stitch without a hoop. Yes, 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 and yes. If I have to use a hoop to cross stitch, I won't cross stitch. Won't do it. I don't like a hoop for anything. I didn't use it very long when I was hand quilting quilts. When I first learned to quilt, I had to learn to hand quilt, and I used it for a while and then ditched that as soon as I learned that you didn't have to have it. You don't have to have a hoop for anything. You can, you know, people enjoy it and that's totally fine. But if you're struggling with a hoop, ditch it and do it without. I would never cross stitch if I had to use a hoop. I tried it and it's like, not working for me, not working. Let's see, this is a really interesting question. So Linda asked, if you're giving a quilt for raffle, you know, so it's for charity and you've made the quilt, and you're giving the quilt to the charity and they're going to raffle it. Do you put your name on it? What are the pros and cons? Well, this is pretty easy, Linda. Just think about what's going to happen. You have an organization, maybe it's an organization you feel really strongly about. Maybe it's a, you know, children's, you know, it's going to support children or something, or animals, and you feel maybe you're involved with the organization. If you know the organization, you're involved with it, think now, do you want the people in the organization to know you made the quilt? Are they going to announce it when it's up for auction or on the raffle? Are they going to put that you made it? Are you proud of making it? You want the people who win it to know that you made it for that organization to support it. If all those things are yes, then put your name on there. Put your name on there, put the date, put why you felt compelled to make this, to, you know, give to the organization. Now, if it's an organization maybe it's your children's school or your grandchildren's school and you want to help them out, but you're not really wanting, like some parents you don't even know, to have your, you know, to have your name. You know, maybe you just don't really want that. Then you could certainly leave your name off. Just put the label and just say, you know, the school, you know, a supporter of the school, made by a supporter of the school that lives, you know, here in our community, you know, or just put the name of the quilt and the year it was made. That would be fine. So, you know, you have to think, it's a personal decision, you know, and we don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it. And so you have to think through the end result is your name will go to a person, and do you want them to have it? So, Tanya wanted to know, this will be the last one. Tanya wanted to know, do I have a system for tackling UFOs? She's accumulated a pile of them. Yes, we all do. Do I have a system? No, I don't. Do I care that I don't have a system? No, I don't. I think you end up with a system or a way to tackle UFOs when you come to that point where you're like, I don't want them anymore. My first thing I do when I hit that point is like, I have too many UFOs. I'm like, okay, which ones don't I ever want to work on again? We're going to find new homes for those. That's number one. And then after that, like working on them, I have to feel motivated. Now, I'm a little different than you in the sense that I'm running a business and I'm running this channel, and part of what I'm doing is using new products and things like that you can get and sew along with me. If I'm working on something from 20 years ago, the pattern might not be available, the fabrics might not be available, and it may not bring me any joy to work on it. You know, so I may never work on those again. You know, they've just lost their appeal to me. And from a business standpoint, they're not really things I would work on right now. But, you know, you've seen me work on UFOs. You've seen me do it here. So it does happen. But for me personally, I don't need a system. I don't feel I need to have one. But this is, again, in the community, if you have gotten to that point personally where you wanted to have a way to tackle your UFOs and work through them, list it, how you approached it, because this might help Tanya. Okay, one last quick thing. Quick. There's a huge number of questions that I've accumulated for months now that I have to address somehow, which I think might have to be like in its own video, because you're basically asking, how do I take this bit of fabric in whatever question you have and use it in this pattern, whatever question you have. It's a lot about design, it's a lot about color, it's a lot about how many fabrics, it's a lot about how do you balance things and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But it's basically you have fabric and you have pattern. You either start with one or you start with the other, and you are not being able to match them that well for whatever reason. On this channel, my YouTube channel, everything I do is about that. Everything. Every single project is about how I match the fabric and the pattern and the colors and the design. And so just watch my videos. But I'm going to try to formulate some sort of mini masterclass, let's call it that. A 10-minute or a 15-minute, 20-minute masterclass for you. And just some tips and things like that, because it's actually really targeted questions. They're not that broad. So anyway, there you go. All right, my friend, the Quilted Witch. I hope you're sewing along. I hope you're making some progress. So I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.